it's making meaningful things using code. So with that, you can be able to see, I'm sure you've had an experience with ChatGPT. There's also something here called Sora, whereby you can be able to like explore how you can be able to make videos. You can generate images, you can generate videos. Like for example, this video right here was generated using this Sora. So there's a lot of things that right now AI has been able to do, and you can be able to access that because all these components are free and they are open source. So you can be able to use all this. And then there's also websites such as DeepSeek. You can be able to interact with DeepSeek, similar case to what ChatGPT does. So for this one, it doesn't like give videos and images, but then it's really good at coding. We have Gemini here. So for Gemini, we can be able to like do everything such as deep research. You can be able to create canvas. You can be able to create art and everything of the sort. So coming back, yes.
Hi, Louis. Haris bin Kamar from Pakistan. It's a very interactive session that you're conducting. I just wanted to ask, will you be teaching us how to write prompt for ChatGPT?
No, not at the moment. So for prompt writing, that's more of prompt engineering. So this course, we are going to first look at Scratch for today's session, introductive to creative computing. But then we also have a session on artificial intelligence, where I'm sure we can be able to cover that in finer detail.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So going back, so why is creative computing important, especially in education? So the first bit is it enhances creativity. So students are able to create stories, create animations, and they can also be able to create games. And then it also develops problem-solving skills. So students learn how to break down problems and develop solutions. And then it promotes logical thinking, whereby students can be able to understand complex sequences and also algorithm. And then lastly, it fosters collaboration. With the schools that we are training at the moment, this last detail is very important, whereby students learn to work in teams, and then they can be able to like enhance communication within that particular team and come up with really amazing projects. So we're going to go ahead and look at the different platforms, apart from the ones that I've listed, that you can be able to like find really amazing things that you can be able to teach students with. So the first one is, it's called P5. So I'm just going to share this link so that you can have it. Also, I'm going to share it on the chat. Okay. So this is the first website that we're going to look at. So for this website, it's a friendly learning tool to code and also make art. So you can be able to like make different shapes. You can be able to code HTML and CSS onto this website. And then it's easy for beginners and also easy for educators. So in case you're a teacher who wants to teach their students something on coding, you can be able to easily do that using this particular website. So we have different websites. So I'm just going to list them briefly. So we have this one called Mouse. So this one is also, so you can see here the image, whereby it allows students to create IoT projects. So you can see here. So this one has resources whereby students can be able to like get information on how to create different things. So I'm just also going to drop that here, so you can be able to also look at it. We have one called Coco Platform. It's a real-time co-creative learning platform that empowers educators to engage children and teens in collaborative, creative, and computing experiences. So instead of sharing that link, because I'm going to share this PDF at the end of the session, probably you can just get these links from there. So we have the last one, it's called CatRobots Pocket Code. It's an open source visual programming environment that allows teenagers to create their own games, animations, and apps directly using their smartphones. So for today's session, we're going to cover Scratch. And then Scratch is an open source website whereby you can be able to do something called block-based programming. So by this, I mean you can be able to like drag and drop blocks of code without necessarily needing to know how to write code. So it's the easiest form of where you can learn programming. So if you're an educator, of which most of us are in this meeting, you can be able to like learn this easily without necessarily having to understand programming in depth, and then you can be able to like fairly teach the students and they can be able to understand. So the features of Scratch is the first one, it's user friendly. So because it includes dragging and dropping blocks, and then it eliminates all errors that come with programming. And then you can be able to integrate images, sounds, and animation, of which we'll look more into this. And then it has community support. It has like a lot of tutorials, a lot of libraries that have been shared online that you can be able to access for your perusal. And then it's cross-platform. So it's available online and also offline. So we are going to look at Scratch. So I'm going to share this website for Scratch so that you can be able to like follow along in case you, okay, so, oh, James, you've handled it. Thank you, James. Okay, so in case you have a laptop, you can just open this website. So this is the website Scratch, and then we can be able to follow along. So we are going to create simple applications and then save them, and then you can go back and just have a look at what we've created, and then you can learn more from what we will be able to cover. So I'm just going to open here. And then we have a couple of things that we need to see here. We have, this is called a stage right here. Let me remove this card. Okay, so you see this box over here, it's called a stage. And then this cut over here, it's called a sprite. And then this cut acts as an animation that you can be able to control. So we can be able to achieve controlling this using these code blocks over here. So these code blocks, we can be able to like make the cat move a couple of steps. We can be able to like make it say something for a couple of seconds. You can be able to achieve all that. And then this here is whereby we drag and drop all the code blocks that we need. So we are going to look at this in depth. And then by the end of the session, you can be able to like create your own projects, and you can be able to manipulate your own Scratch. So there are different Scratch. So by Scratch, when I say Scratch, I mean animation. So not Scratch, sprite, I mean animation. So you can be able to choose different sprites, and you can be able to come up with different stories and animations. So there are a few key elements that we need to cover. So by key elements, we are going to cover, you see here on the code blocks where I've pointed my mouse. So let me just zoom in. We are going to cover a couple of these. So we are going to first start with motion. We are going to see how motion affects this specific sprite. So let me just zoom out. So let's start with motion. So this code block for motion, it enables us to move the sprite. So let me just zoom in also here. So this specific code block, it enables us to move any particular sprite that we want. So for example, we have this animation over here. We can be able to move it for 10 steps. We can also be able to turn it a couple of degrees. We can be able to like turn it for 15 degrees. We can be able to, we have an input here whereby you can be able to like change the amount of degrees. So let's say you want to turn it for 60 degrees, you can be able to do that. So we have an input here. So whenever you come into Scratch and drag and drop, whenever you see there's a number, specific number, you can be able to change it. So that's an input. So let's say you want to move it 30 steps, we can also be able to do that. So you can see the cat is moving at that same direction. So with these blocks, since I said it was drag and drop, we can be able, so the first one, we are able to move it 30 steps. We are also able to turn it 60 degrees, but then we can join these two items. So this is what I mean by block programming. We can join these two items, thereby enabling us to move 30 steps and then turn in 30 degrees. So I'm going to click on that. And as you can see, the sprite has moved 30 steps and then it has turned 30 degrees. So I can probably just say we want to move like 100 steps so that you can see it in action. So you can see it's moved way more and then it's turned like that. So with this motion block, we can be able to manipulate the sprite however we want. So there are different things here. We can be able to turn anti-clockwise the number of degrees that you want. We can be able to drag and drop these to the code area. So if you want to use the code blocks, the only way that you can do that is to just click and then drag and drop it to the code area. In case you want to remove it there, you can just click and drop it back to where it was. So you can be able to, like, for example, this motion block, it goes to a random position. So for this one, we don't have like a specific place where it goes. So it goes to just any specific position on the stage. And then there are a couple of positions here. So I'm not going to cover all of them. I'm just going to cover the most specific ones that we want, because like there are a lot of them. So the next one I want us to cover, let's say we want to go to a random position, we can be able to do that. Let's say we want to change our direction by X and Y. So here's where mathematics applies in Scratch. So you see in mathematics whereby we have the X and Y axis. In Scratch, you also have that. So if we want to change by X, you can see it changes in the X axis by 10 steps. If we want to change Y here, you can see it changes Y by a certain number of steps. So as an educator, you can see how this is important to actually use, for example, in a math class. You want the students to be able to like learn, oh, the X-axis is a horizontal plane, but then the Y-axis is the vertical plane. So you can be able to like easily explain to the students how they can be able to like understand this in the most simplest of ways. So that's it to do with motion blocks. So you can go through all these motion blocks. So there are different ones. You can go through them, and then we can get the feedback from you which ones you used. So the next motion block that we're going to focus on is on looks. So remember I said if you want to clear it, you just drag and drop it to the left, and then it clears from the code area. So for looks, we can be able to like say hello, for example, for a couple of seconds. So if we click on this, we can be able to say anything. So here, remember I said whenever you see an oval thing with letters or numbers, that means it's an input. So we can say hello, and then we can say hello, let's say my name, hello Luis, and then we can say it for 2 seconds. So we can choose the amount of seconds that we want it to run for on the screen. So the sprite can be able to say that for the amount of seconds that you want. So that's on looks. And then one other thing that we'll focus on looks. So let's say 2 other things that will focus on looks. There are a couple of things. For example, if we come here and choose a specific sprite, let's say we want this one for Avery. Let's say we choose this one for Avery, and then we can just get rid of the cat. Okay, yeah. Let's say we want to choose this one for Avery, and then we want to come here. Okay, so within every sprite, there are different ways in which they are taken. So for example, if you see here, she looks like she's walking, and then we can be able to like change this costume. So a costume is a different sprite altogether. So let me just walk you through all the costumes that we have. So we have this step, that's her walking. And then we also have Avery walking. It's like images. It's just the same way movies in the olden days were created, whereby they were just images conjoined together. And then once they were like rotated in a circular form, they formed motion. So that's the same case for this one. So you can see it changes. So we can be able to like loop between all this. So I'm going to focus, we're going to loop on all that. Just a moment, let me just although this is a bit of foreshadowing. Okay, so let's say we want Avery to walk from one place to another. We can come and select that. We can come and then we come and switch her costume to that. And then we can also come and then switch her costume to that. And then we can switch her costume to also this. Remember, costumes are like images of motion. So whenever we click this, okay, so whenever we click this, it was supposed to loop between all these costumes, although I feel like there's a problem with my loop somewhere. Let me just change that. Okay, so yeah, so okay, so it's supposed to like make a walk, but then I'm going to fix this once we get there. So I'm going to look at it. So, but then I hope you've gotten like the concept. So every image has like a way. So we want it to walk, select that, and then it walks. So we can be able to loop through all this and make this character walk. I hope while I'm doing this, you're able to see the concept that which I'm going to take. So you can be able to see like how this can be used by students. Students can create like animations, cartoons that they can make their characters walk. They can probably switch the background. So the next one I'm going to come and say here, it's a backdrop. So a backdrop, basically, a backdrop is this, you see on the stage, we have a stage here. So the backdrop is the background image that we have. So we can be able to switch from one background to another. So we can be able to select the next backdrop. So I'm going to choose a different backdrop so that we can be able to see. So basketball, I'm going to also choose Malibu. So from here, we can be able to select all these backdrops. So we can switch to baseball, we can switch to basketball too, we can switch to the beach Malibu and all that. But then we can also select this next here. And then once you do that, we can loop between all these backdrops. So we can create animations using this, and then it can help students be able to like highlight their ideas using Scratch. So the other thing that we're going to look at is on sounds. So for sounds, for this one doesn't have a lot. We won't cover a lot on sounds. For sounds is when we want a specific sprite to say something. So let's say you want it to make a pop sound. You can hear it makes a pop sound. You can also be able to record whatever sound you want. So right now I'm recording the sound, but then it's going to affect my audio. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going to record the sound, but then you can record the sound. And then once something specific happens, let's say you switch the backdrop, of which the backdrop is the background, it's going to make a specific sound or something of the sort. So there are different code blocks of sound. You can play a different sound. You can start a sound. You can stop all sounds. You can change the volume of the sound. You can set the volume of the sound and all of that. So I'm not sure if I'm going fast, James. Is there any question at the moment? Okay, so no questions at the moment. Okay, so, oh, can you merge all the motion blocks? Yes, certainly you can. So we are just going back to the motion. We can say we want to make a motion block. Well, by merge, do you mean like all of them? But then as long as they have, you see at the bottom here, it's like pieces of a puzzle. As long as it goes into this piece, you can be able to like make them into one. So for example, let's just merge all of them and then click on this. You can be able to see, for example, this one, it moves 10 steps, turns 15 degrees, and then glides. So for glide, I'm not sure I mentioned glides, but then for glide, it just moves in a specific direction, and then it moves smoothly. So glide does that. and then it points direction 90. So this one ensures that however it moves, it points 90 degrees, and then it changes the direction of X by 10. So you can be able to do that. So you can be able to like join all code blocks once you've selected them. Or the site that we're using on Scratch. So let me just send you this. Okay, so that was the first key element. We've focused on motion, we've looked at loops. We've also looked on sounds. Let's look on events and see what events is able to do. So we've all played games, for example, the mobile phone games, I believe. So for events, it's just a simple way to control the sprite. So let's say we have here, we have a green flag, and then we have a stop sign. So let's say we want, whenever the green flag is clicked, we want our avatar or our sprite to move 100 steps or glide a specific direction. So we can come here. We want her to glide. Okay, so we want her to glide in a specific direction. So whenever this is clicked, the green flag is clicked. So events, let me just come here. So events, they play a crucial role in computational thinking as they allow programs to respond to specific actions and or occurrences. So let me show you what it does. So whenever I click on this green flag, the avatar or the sprite moves to a specific location. But then if I click on something else, such as stop, this stop sign, she won't go. But then whenever I click on this is when she glides to a specific position. So with this, we can be able to achieve different things, such as, for example, whenever I click on space, my space key for the mouse, I want her to jump. So set Y. So I want her to jump by 50. So this only happens whenever I click the space. So you can see I'm able to do that. So you can see how this helps. For example, you have a creative student who's really interested in gaming. So you can be able to like show them this. So let's change whenever I press probably the up key. The student can be able to do that. Let's also put another event whenever I click. So whenever I click the right arrow, I want the sprite to move by 10. So I'm going to put here, I want her to move by 10 or 50 steps, let's say 30 steps, so you can be able to see. So whenever I click this right arrow, you can be able to see she moves that same exact number of steps. So up to there, I hope there is no question. So you can be able to, I hope you've understood how all this comes in to look together. And then lastly, we're going to cover controls. So on controls, let's just come here. So on controls, so let me just get rid of this and this. I hope you're following along with this. So on controls, it's how we can be able to control a specific thing. So let's say we want to wait a couple of seconds and then do something. So let's say we want to wait 1 second, and then after that, we say hello for 2 seconds. We can be able to have that control of our system, and then we can be able to control it like that. So you can see it waits for 1 second. We can be able to change here to say, let's wait for 2 seconds, maybe let's wait for 3 seconds so that we can see the loop. So it waits for 3 seconds, and then it says hello. And then remember that these are inputs, so you can be able to manipulate these inputs to say whatever you want. So you can say hi. So you can say hi. So it waits 3 seconds, and then it says hi. And then we have something here. It's called repeat. So repeat is a form of loop that we are able to use within Scratch. So let's say you have a repetitive task that you want to repeat without necessarily, you see, whenever, like, let me put this here so that you can be able to understand. So I want to move this character 100 steps, but then this is the clause that I've been given. So I want to move her 100 steps, but then this is the clause that I've been given. So I'm going to have to click on this 10 times so that she moves 100 steps like that. But then if we have this repeat statement, it can be able to repeat this loop for 10 times. So here we can be able to drag and drop it. So the difference between the other ones we brought them down, but then for this one, we have a space in between the repeat section, whereby we can just come and drag and drop it and put it in the middle so that it repeats the amount of times that you want. So for this one, it will repeat a specific task. We can put repeat this for 5 times, and then it's going to repeat whatever is in here. So it's going to make this loop. So let's say we want to do that 5 times. So this, you see, it's really exhausting to click the mouse 5 times. But then using this clause, you can be able to repeat whatever you want. So you see, it makes it so much easier, and then it gets rid of the repetitive tasks because this one handles all that. Okay, so I hope that you've understood that. And then we have also another one here. For example, we have forever. So this forever block, it can be able to make this character do something forever. If we want her to run aimlessly, not run, but then if we want her to move aimlessly, we can use this forever. So I'm going to use if on edge bounce. So we can use that, and then we can say whenever she's on the edge, she's going to bounce. So whenever she's on the edge, you can see the animation runs without me necessarily having to click anything. So